Yes.
Okay, so I'm not going to write anything.
Yeah, you don't need to write anything.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you had a very nice lesson. I used the data collection instrument that I kind of showed you I was going to use. And I took the components of shared reading, so we have the teaching model, the practice and apply, and the reflection and sharing. So I just kind of was making some observations and kept some time of some things so that you, not necessarily a time of everything, but of specific things so you knew how long you were spending on things. So as you went through, and I know you all combine your writing and your shared reading time.
Yeah.
So that you have integrated. So what I did is the green is what I saw that was more shared reading, and the yellow is more writing. And I know they're integrated with the standards that you're using, but I just wanted to, so that we had a clear picture of what was what. So as you began, you told them 15 seconds, and you had 16 seconds. So it was, you were right on it. I don't know if you were thinking
I
in
meant
your head, but
so.
yeah. So that seemed appropriate at that time because you hadn't introduced anything yet, and they really had to pull from what was in their head. And then introducing the T-chart with your adjectives was about 5.5 minutes, and that took some pulling from them, but you did well questioning them.
I mean, for the one I have a problem because, and I do this, and this is what I'm working on in all subjects. I worry about my lower kids, and I tend to focus on them, and that loses everybody else. But I hate leaving them behind. It takes a lot of time.
I wonder if you could use a little bit of Kagan, like I know you were trying to use a little bit, and buddy them. And maybe already have set who their buddy is, and you do high and low, and that way they're throwing some ideas together in their head, and then they share out
And some of them really like being the teacher.
Exactly.
Some don't, but some love that.
Right. So that might help, and that might shorten that time too as you were introducing. And then you spent about 4 minutes clarifying why you were doing your chart, which was good because they often forget why they're doing something, when the time is a little bit longer. It was about 30 seconds to transition to their desk. I think your transitions are really
Is that okay?
good.
That's one thing that I've really been working with and struggling with. I mean, it's better, but...
Well, I think they understand your magic phrase and that's, the way they have to transition. I wonder if you could add a signal, like a quiet signal, something you do that reminds them, okay, you're sitting and your eyes are on me and you're ready. That might shorten that a little bit. I think it depends on the time of day. It depends on how long that they've been sitting, and what is coming next, what they expect is coming next. So then I just did an overall time, and you spent about 22 minutes in your teaching model, which is this first part of shared reading, which is your longest section. It's supposed to be where you're thinking aloud, you're interacting with whatever text you're using, and really showing them how your thinking is. And you did do that in showing them why did these words connect to the animals. And that was a harder concept for them to connect it. But I think that they were coming along with you as you went through the book. I really liked how you stopped at a couple of pages and were able to talk to them about it, and why they were using those words to describe. So I noticed you're connecting your science. Are you doing weather right now? Okay, so that's a great connection. And then, and what I felt was your lesson goal was adjectives.
It was a review of adjectives, and we were reviewing adjectives, reviewing nouns, and sort of introducing verbs.
Okay, and that's kind of where I saw it going into your writing. Is you were very clear. We're using more interesting words to describe how we do things in our writing and that kind of thing. I think that you could use that and connect from the book. Okay, here were some verbs in the book that were explaining what happened to the weather, and bring that into your intro so that there's a clear connection.
Why we're doing that, and then why we're doing it.
Right, because I thought about it and I sat for a few minutes and I was like, okay, I know where she's going.
But why I had the words that we had, because we talked about them, so we would have, because some of them are difficult. We talked about them as far as some word study type of patterns and stuff, but you're right, I didn't say specifically that these came from the book. These are weather-related words or animal-related words, or describe what a lion would do.
And that's what you did have your sort, was connecting those things with a lamb and a lion.
They might not have made the connection to it.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And that goes into what I was thinking with your lower level thinking skills and your higher level thinking skills, which in first grade is very hard because they're very surface and we ask very surface questions. But then having that understanding of the concept that it's connected. So I think that'll help bring it to, okay, this is the reason I'm doing this surface level, you know, and towards your end of your lesson, you did connect that. And I put in here with your reflection and sharing, you were explaining to them, why do we need these words? What are we going to use these words for? That kind of thing. So you've got your reflection and sharing. So to me, you've got all the components of your writing mini lesson. I wonder if there are some ways that you could do a snapshot of the practice and apply and the reflection to match that shared reading book.
Okay, like what?
So I was trying to think of some ideas that would go with it. Well, your practice and apply would be your buddy sharing, describing words, or talk with a buddy about what words they used to connect the lion and the weather, or what words they used to connect the lamb and the weather. And that's where they're working in small group pairs or individual practice. And then their reflection sharing out would be then sharing that to you. So that could be a quick way to add those pieces in. And I know the time's short, so it's like, okay, how do I combine these things?
Yeah.
It is, it goes really fast. I would say if you can, this like 9.5 minutes here, if you get to the point or can get to the point where they are being much quicker to understand the purpose of things, then those pieces will go a little faster.
I've been using, I would guess, maybe too many graphic organizers. Maybe should stick with pretty much a T-chart type of thing. You know,
Well,
just
if they're
2 or
used
3.
to it, I don't think that it matters which one you use.
But I mean, instead of kind of introducing some, because I do it so it'll be more interesting. But the problem with that is I sort of have to explain why is it done this way. So
Right.
I should just sort of stick with a few tried and true.
Think
for
of
now.
like your repertoire of, I've got these 4 really good
And we all know
organizers.
what we do. We compare and contrast when we do this.
Right,
Okay.
and you talked a lot about comparisons the whole time you were doing your intro and you were clarifying. So I think that they understood that they were making that connection. But just to continue that through before you, okay, let's connect this to nouns and verbs and our writing. So it's like we got to get from point A to point
And that will
C.
shorten it, and also it'll keep their attention span, because they start getting the smarter ones upper level ones.
Right.
And see because they're ready to move on.
And you did a really nice job of when they got to their seat, they were up and moving. They had an opportunity to come and move a word, you know, into the right category. Let me see what else I was thinking. The other way you could kind of shorten a little bit is in writing your teaching model / your practice and apply, it was that interactive chart you started with nouns and verbs. So I wonder if you could model fewer students, because I did put here, so it's 30 to 40 seconds per student, and you call on 7 students to come up and do words. So I would say if you could keep it to like 3 or 4, then your time there will be shorter, and they'll have more time here where you can walk around in conference with them and remind them verbs are this, and we're using verbs.
It's fun when you're the one up there, but you're right. It's
Right.
not fun while you're watching somebody for 30
Right,
seconds.
but I think they'll appreciate you spending more time coming
Me
over
too.
to each of the groups
Okay.
too. So that, and then of course I have your time here, 6.5 minutes for your practice and apply for writing, and then 1.5 minutes for your reflection sharing, which according to these times is pretty close. You have to shorten anyway because you're combining 2 pieces. You're combining your shared reading and writing. So I think you've got the pieces in the right span of
I
time.
tend, as far as the lesson goes, to do almost like that, usually a 2-day thing, because I have a
Uh-huh.
hard time doing a book and a writing.
Right.
So a lot of times we'll do this component of it, sort of introduce how we're going to write, and then tomorrow we'll use the words and
Right.
actually write it, and we'll do something short for reading.
I think that's fine. Yeah, and I think you also do a very good job of telling them what's coming. And with first grade, that can be one of the things that's like, wait, I don't know what's going on, or when's my transition. So you explain to them, we're using these tomorrow, we're going to use these in our writing. So I think that was very clear to them. I liked your video book at the beginning because then they don't, it's different than just listening to you.
Yeah, and I tried to read, and the concept is hard anyway, and at least like the music is sort of set the tone. It wasn't
Right.
a good read aloud book for just me. It was nice with the way it moved around.
Well, yes, and they could match the pictures and the sounds and all that, absolutely. We already talked about like using the Kagan, and that will give them more peer support so that they feel a little bit stronger about their answers when you call on those lower students. Exactly. And for Tien,
But then he surprised. He knows. I mean, all
Yeah.
of a sudden he knows something brilliant.
yeah. But you did a really good job handling the fact that you couldn't understand him. Yeah, it's hard, but you said give it to me in a sentence, and then you finally like, okay, we'll come back to that, so you can explain it to me later. So
Since about Christmas, he started getting frustrated. He never was
Yeah.
before, and he sort of let it go.
he's recognizing what he gets and what he doesn't now, and how
Yeah.
important it is. Yeah. Well, I complimented on him on his glasses the other day because I thought that was.
I'll tell you, it really helps because he can see.
Yeah, he looked at me. He said, "I can see
It's
far."
amazing.
I said, "That's so funny." So I pulled this up. I know you guys plan and you have your weekly template, but
And I just didn't. I know it's, personal, because my husband's in Michigan and he didn't come home. He's been gone for 2 weeks and he's not coming home for another 3 weeks. And I don't really apologize.
no, that's totally fine. I just wanted to show you the template, one of the templates that's out there, because this.
And that's off of Chesterfield website.
Yeah,
isn't it?
right on
I'll
CNET.
look, because I tried to find one last week, and I know it's there. There's just so many things.
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing about this is when you pull it up, it is linked, so you can from there click where you're going, and then go to your Edmodo and your curriculum pacing and all of that.
Small, some of them are
Yeah.
so lengthy that they're not practical.
Right,
This one I
and
can actually use.
you could probably even shrink this if you took some space out and make it 2 days, and then you could run it back and have
And I'm still to
your
your point,
week.
I have to write down, even though we have the guideline for it, I haven't been back in it long enough to be able to remember every component. I have to write down.
Well, I think
quiz
that's
and read
good.
and math and everything.
Right. And I still go back to my lesson plans and pull them out and say, okay, did I do that piece? Or I forgot that yesterday. So I think that's important to have. I mean, I know it takes a little bit longer, but that's a good one. I will find where it's linked, and I'll send you an email
Okay.
with the
If you get
breadcrumbs
a
where you
chance,
find
because
it.
that-
Yeah.
Look, I knew it was there somewhere.
Absolutely. And then these are just the documents I used when I was making our observation tool here, just so you could see the amount of time and then what you can use to plan.
Okay.
So I'll send the links to those
Alright.
too. And then I did print this off for you. I don't know if you guys use that. Do you guys use the bridge document? Yeah. So this has the resources that we have basically in your treasure series, or if they're in other books that we have. So it tells you, okay, if I'm doing, today you were doing a lot of clarifying,
Mhm.
I think, along with your adjectives. So these might be some things you could look at. There's
Okay.
some stories there that are actually in the treasures books. You can pull the book out and just have, read part of that story for the day and use that over 2 or 3 days if that's another option you want for text. So I think this helps you think about it from not just the standard and skills, but from, okay, what strategy am I trying to integrate? And can I integrate that strategy along with the skill that I'm trying to teach them with? So I just printed that one off. If I were you, I'd ask your team if they think it's helpful or not. They probably don't use it either. But I just like to pull it out so we know what resources are there.
Well, and I need it. Like I said, it's been a while, so I need all the papers. My problem is there's so many
Yes.
on the website
Yeah.
that I get completely
And when I
lost.
pulled up the Edmodo while I was watching you, so I could kind of have a reference. So I had that so I could kind of see that, okay, we're going towards main idea route. So as I was sitting here listening and thinking, I was like, okay, well, maybe by the end of the week or beginning of next week, she's connecting all of these words. We're learning adjectives and verbs and nouns can we connect that to the main idea of the story is this because we've got these details with these describing words and that kind of thing. So making that bigger, broader connection, and that's that higher level thinking that's really hard for them. So that's going to take some time. And I know you've done my main idea before, and you probably already introduced that to them. It's very hard. It's really hard for almost any grade level.
And it's hard sometimes even when I look at our small books to really see if you're reading books that are 8 pages long. Sometimes it's hard to really come up with
The main idea. Yeah. So then your elementary language arts, and then I know you probably know how to get here, but then grade 1, and it has the curriculum framework. When on that page, it's got the week by week right here if you just have to pull it up. And then it does go to each one, but I like the week by week better. Because so when I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, I'm going to go by the week by week. Then I'm going to go to the Edmodo just to make sure they're all the same.
Okay.
And then
what we're supposed to be.
exactly, and then I'm going to go back and I can click on, these. Say, okay, well within short vowel sounds to decode and spell single syllable words, here's the essential knowledge. So this is what I've got to work on, and that's something you guys haven't done long vowels yet, but eventually that's what you get to. So then the specifics are there because this short vowel sounds to decode and spell single syllable words isn't as detailed as than the essential knowledge is. So it's a lot of click, click, click kind of thing. But I think I guess my suggestion for time-wise, use your Edmodo and plan, and then go back and pull up your essential knowledge and just make sure that these specifics are clear.
As we go.
Exactly. And remember, when you click on this is for the whole quarter. So it should have already been clarified on Edmodo, like which piece of that. See, this says 1.9H.
Right.
So then I'd go back and check. Okay, I've got to do H. Make sure that essential knowledge is there. So, okay. Is that helpful? Was that helpful?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
helpful. And if at some point, whenever you get to it, you can send me that.
Yep, I'm going to go do it now when I go back to my room.
Okay.
And I typed up just some other notes, more about what I was. It's hard when you observe, because my class, and I want to shut off the camera and then I'll tell you.
Okay.
Because I can clip
Well,
this.
probably you're observing for one reason and